The divide between President Trump and the Democratic Party was on full display at last night's State of the Union. Take a listen.
These people are crazy, I'm telling you. They're crazy. Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. There's drug lords, murderers all over our country. They're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
CBS News Chief Washington analyst Robert Costa joins us now. He spoke with President Trump ahead of last night's speech. Good morning, Bob. So what did the president say to you before his speech?
Good morning. President Trump was pretty optimistic about his upcoming State of the Union when I gave him a phone call ahead of the address yesterday. He talked about how he's going to speak about the economy, tried to address the issue of affordability and prices that are on those issues on the minds of so many Americans. We talked about Iran. He said he was pretty coy about that in terms of a decision not being made on whether there will be a military strike against Iran and its possible development of a nuclear weapon. And we talked about how the country right now is really on edge with immigration, but he said he's done a great job, in his view, to close the border, he said, and to go after, as you just heard in that clip, what he believes is a real threat to the country.
Well, what should the president's tone throughout the evening, Bob, you think, signal to us in terms of his pre-midterm strategy?
Well, this was not a 2-hour sing-song address. This was 2 hours of political battle. There were many moments, of course, where the stories of Americans who have served this country in uniform or on the field at the Olympics and elsewhere were highlighted by the president, and those were compelling stories of service and valor. At the same time, much of the speech was also heavily partisan and very pointed in its attacks against the Democrats in the room and across the country. And that tells you a lot about the midterm elections. This is the 250th moment for America since its founding, the anniversary since America was conceived with the Declaration of Independence. And you see the president going to that issue of patriotism at this time, while he also is really ramping up his political battle.
Well, CBS News polling shows a growing number of Americans believe the country is both divided and declining. Could anything the president said last night perhaps begin to change those perceptions?
A State of the Union address is something that, for many presidents, doesn't often get remembered in full. It's something that creates a certain narrative for the upcoming election, whether it's a presidential election or the midterm elections. So this is part of President Trump starting to make his case, the Democrats starting to make their own with Abigail Spanberger, the Democratic response, the new governor of Virginia. She's more of a centrist Democrat. It's not like they put Senator Bernie Sanders, one of the leading progressives out there. They put a centrist Democrat. That tells you a little bit about where the Democrats' head's at in terms of the midterm elections.
All right, Bob Costa for us. Bob, thank you.